Welcome back. The shooting death of Charlie Kirk marks a flashpoint in America's political polarization. The incident sparked urgent calls for more civil discourse nationwide. Let's now bring in Leslie Sanchez and Chuck Rocha for more about this. Leslie is a CBS News political analyst and Republican strategist, and Chuck is a Democratic strategist. And to be fair to you both, when you're on this program, you always are respectful and toning it down. So we want to kind of elaborate on that sentiment, because it does seem, after major moments of violence in the U.S., both parties, political representatives, blame the other side. So, Leslie, how could this moment be a turning point for political division in the U.S. for the better?
It's already proven to be a turning point for the better, because it's bringing to light just how far we've gotten from each other and understanding that we are one nation together. You know, former President Ronald Reagan said that democracy is not a fragile flower. It needs cultivating. Cultivating is part of that political discourse. The frustration we see in America is people feel they were siloed, and that we are siloed, highly politicized, each in our own area. And there is not an appetite for single-party rule or one idea in a university system or in our government. People wanted to share ideas and feel they have a seat at the table. And a really moment like this is a moment very reflective, and you haven't seen the country come together since 9/11 and those tragic events. So the idea is, what can we take from this? How can we tone down the rhetoric and come together? Because it is not a failure to have disagreement. It's a failure to leave the table.
And it's a reminder that, you know, American democracy is an experiment. Can people from different backgrounds get along? Chuck, what are some common threads that could bring Republicans and Democrats together at this fraught moment?
There's lots of things. I mean, at the core, no matter how much you disagree with a Republican or a Democrat, at their core, they believe that they want to make America better. They want better for the American people. They have an argumentative disagreement on what the path should be there. And that has never really changed in the history of our country. What's really changed is the algorithms and the internets. If you think about going back to 1968, we've had horrible discord in this country before, and we've had people do really stupid things. But you didn't have an amplification of that on the internet, where folks literally profit from hate. So on both sides, either sides, there's lots of folks out there who, and even some foreign countries, who are trying to literally divide Americans. And if you're on your phone scrolling at night, you will see it fed to you depending on which side of the aisle you're on. And I think that's what we really have to get our hands around.
That's a really strong point. And I sometimes think that never before in human history have humans had this level of input of data and information and imagery in our devices and around us on screens. We don't know what that does to people. And I'll ask this question of... Go ahead, Leslie.
I think you raised a really good point. I think Jonathan Haidt has talked about what that influence has had in terms of scrolling and the impact it's had on our young people, certainly on our young girls when they're in school, and in terms of self-image, how they see themselves, how they frame their narrative around what they see and how they look at the world. An adult is no different. It's a constant manipulation. As we move into kind of one source, our own silo, listening to only one type of media, not looking and having and engaging in that conversation, many people just feel their blood pressure goes up and they want to walk away. And what I think, you know, we hear Chuck and myself talking about is there's a time in Washington, there's a time in local government. People come together around ideas. Let's make education better. Let's talk about housing. Let's look at the economy and what can we do? Maybe those ideas didn't work, but let's try something different. It is a compromise. And for a while, in the last several years, compromise has been taboo. But I think it's time that we see that that's what heals this country, and hopefully that's what makes us move forward.
Yeah, and these algorithms are designed to agitate you so you engage with it. So that really is an interesting point. And I'll ask this next question of each of you. Chuck, what can Democrats do to tone down the temperature from their own party?
I think when I make ads. So, you know, I take a part of this responsibility myself. I say some pretty bad things about Republicans trying to get Democrats and independents to vote, because that's my job, right? But there's a way to do it where you don't talk about somebody's individualness. You talk about a policy difference. And the last thing I'll say, and you covered redistricting a little bit in Missouri before we started, there's no appetite out there when you have congressional seats that are all safe Republican or safe Democrat to look for middle ground. There's only about 30 marginal seats, and right now in Missouri, Texas, and California, they're getting rid of the few marginal ones that we have. So it's apprehensive for folks. It's good for politicians when they only have to go to their right or their left. That's not good for democracy.
And Leslie, what can Republicans do to tone things down?
I think whether it's Republican or Democrat, we can get away from like they caused the problem, like these big, broad statements, as opposed to talking about individual actions, personal responsibility on that end. It isn't just a party that does it, it's the individual people, perhaps the leadership or those ideas. But battling in an arena where we're talking about ideas as opposed to just political performance is a better narrative and a better road for all of us.
Yeah, look, it's a reality check for all of us. Leslie Sanchez and Chuck Rocha, great to chat with you both. We'll see you again soon. Thanks so much.